You know, when you think of the word Pharaoh, what comes to mind? Pyramids, golden masks, divine power, right? But what if I told you that title, one of the most powerful in history, didn't start with a god king or a bloody conquest, but with a tax? And not just any tax, a tax on the dead.
Yeah, before the massive pyramids were even a blueprint.
Before the great dynasties that we all know and read about.
There was this tax. And the story of the guy who came up with it, well, that's the story of how the Pharaoh was born.
All right, so let's get right into it. And our story, believe it or not, doesn't even start in Egypt. We're in a place called Shinar, with a man who was, in a way, both the richest and poorest person you could imagine. So, meet Rikayon. This guy's mind, a total powerhouse. He understood all kinds of wisdom. But here's the catch. He was flat broke, starving, actually. Imagine that irony, right? He could unravel the secrets of the universe, but he couldn't figure out where his next meal was coming from.
So he comes up with a plan. It's a total long shot, but it's all he's got. He's going to journey to the richest place he can think of, Egypt. The plan is simple. Find the king, a guy named Oswiris, blow his mind with some wisdom, and hopefully, finally, get paid enough to eat. It's a plan born from pure desperation.
But yeah, Egypt, it wasn't exactly waiting with open arms. The second he set foot in the city, that simple plan of his just completely fell apart.
So he gets there and starts asking around, "Hey, where's the king?" And the locals basically laugh. The king? Oh, he only shows up once a year. For a guy who's starving today, hearing once a year might as well be never. His one and only hope just vanished. Poof.
And from there, things just spiral. It's a total downward slide. First, he tries to do the honest thing, right? Sell some vegetables. But he's an outsider, doesn't know the local customs, and he sticks out like a sore thumb. So what happens? A mob just mocks him and steals everything. He's left with nothing, forced to crawl back to this abandoned, derelict bakehouse, hungry, defeated, and completely alone. But it's right there, at his absolute lowest point, in that cold, dark ruin with nothing but hunger for company, that his incredible mind kicks into overdrive. He realizes something. If the city won't give him a piece of the pie, he's going to find a way to make the entire city pay him. And the idea that sparks in his head, oh man, it is absolutely audacious.
See, Rikayon had this brilliant insight. People, they're fickle. Business, unpredictable. But death? Death is a certainty. And in that one single certainty, he saw his golden opportunity.
And his entire crazy scheme, it all revolved around this one number. 200. 200 pieces of silver. That, he decided, was going to be the new price for eternal rest in Egypt.
So the very next morning, Rikayon gets up, hires 30 of the toughest-looking guys he can find, and marches them down to the city's only burial ground. And then, with just pure, unadulterated nerve, he announces a new royal decree. He tells everyone that by order of the king, who, remember, is hiding in his palace, no one gets buried unless they pay the fee. He had zero authority, no permission, just a crazy idea and a handful of hired muscle to back it up.
And you know what? It worked. It worked better than he could have ever imagined. The results were just insane. In just 8 months, this starving sage went from having nothing to being a ridiculously wealthy commander. We're talking silver, gold, horses, even his own loyal army. He basically built an entire power base from scratch.
But come on, you can't just invent a tax on the dead, the most sacred ritual in a city, and think nobody's going to notice. The day of reckoning was coming. That one day a year when the king finally shows his face, well, that was the day Rikayon's Grand Khan would either make him a legend or get him executed on the spot.
And sure enough, the moment King Oswiris steps out, the crowd just erupts. They're screaming, "May the king live forever!" But what they're really saying is, someone is taxing our dead. We can't take it anymore. This whole city is being ruined. And they're all demanding to know, who is this evil person doing this? And this is where it gets really good. The contrast is just incredible. On one side, you have the king, who is absolutely livid, just pure, burning rage. He's insulted, his authority has been challenged, and he is ready to have someone's head. But Rikayon's response, it's not fear, it's not an apology, it's pure theater. Instead of slinking in like a criminal about to be sentenced, Rikayon puts on a show. A massive procession of 1,000 kids, all dressed in fine silks, riding on horseback.
He brings a tribute of so much silver and gold it's staggering. He even brings a magnificent horse as a personal gift for the king. He doesn't show up as a con man. He shows up as the most powerful, organized, and wealthy man in the entire kingdom.
So everyone in that crowd, including the king, was expecting to see an execution, a swift, brutal end to this whole affair. What they got instead was basically a coronation, one born from pure strategic genius. And then, after the spectacle, he speaks. And he doesn't just explain himself. He lays out his wisdom. The text says he spoke so brilliantly to the king, to his court, to all the people, that their anger just dissolved. It was replaced with awe. The very same people who were screaming for his death moments before were now just mesmerized. He didn't just outmaneuver them, he outthought them on every level.
And at that moment, King Oswiris looked at Rikayon and didn't see a criminal at all. He saw an asset, a genius who could bring order and create wealth out of thin air. So he gives him a new name, a title really, to commemorate the sheer audacity of his plan, Pharaoh, which literally meant, because you've imposed a tax on the dead.
And it wasn't just the king. Everyone agreed. The officials, the wise men, the people, they were all in. They made Rikayon the prefect. So the old King Oswiris could keep his ceremonial role, show up once a year and wave, but Rikayon, Pharaoh. He was now the one running the country day to day. The justice, the taxes, all the actual work of governing was now his.
His impact was so immediate and so profound that the people themselves made it into a law. They decreed that, to honor this man's incredible mind and authority, this outsider who came from nothing and completely reshaped their nation, every single king of Egypt from that day on would carry his title. They would all be known as Pharaoh.
And that just leaves you with this really fascinating thought, doesn't it? Rikayon brought order, structure, and wealth to Egypt, but he did it through a brilliant citywide scam, exploiting a culture he wasn't even part of. So it makes you wonder, can a system built by an outsider, through such cunning means, ever truly belong to the people? It's a heck of a question about where power really comes from.